Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about The Abducted. This storyline has a lot to uncover and gets more interesting the further you get into it. This storyline consists of 4 maps: Ends of Earth, Grease Palm, Buy Cheap Buy Twice, and lastly Hide and Seek. Anyway, enjoy this video. We have gotten wind of a website that sells illegal gun modifications. In this case it seems to be auto sears. We also have tracked down where the weapon modifications are being manufactured, and it's at this unassuming house at Kauai Beach. It's the house of the Tran family. There has been a lot of discrepancy between their income and spending, which raises suspicion. Furthermore, we also got a call from an anonymous person telling us that there was something going on there, but he didn't go into detail. Thanks to our expansive network of undercover agents, we know that one of the family members usually picks up various car parts at a car dealership. It's called Caesar's Cars. These car parts are not always the same, it's always something different and a different size. The car dealership itself has been placed under surveillance by us because of suspicious behavior like this. Anyway, let's look at the Tran family. The important suspects are An, Tao, and Vinny Tran. There is also another person involved whose name is Diego. He also has some money struggles and therefore works with the Tran brothers. Lastly, we got the civilians, who are the father and the mother. Your objectives are to rescue civilians, bring order to chaos, and lastly, look where the gun manufacturing takes place and confiscate anything. Go in and be aware of tight corners and just throw a few bangs around, and remember, they have no armor, so use JHP if needed. It looks like a normal house, and it is. We know that there is a big discrepancy between spending and income of the family. The overdue bills on the table confirm this. But what the Tran brothers really need the money for is their mother, who is gravely sick, and her medication ain't cheap. The medical bill says it's about $240,000, so the only way out for them seemed to be illegal gun manufacturing. On the second floor you can find the rooms of the family members. The one with a turned on computer is the most interesting one, as it presumably belongs to An. There we can find multiple screens with various websites, even one for gambling. You can also find a tape recorder in which he voices all of his worries about all of this. Primarily he seems to be worried about his brother Vinny, who got beaten up whilst he was trying to negotiate a deal. On the sofa behind the computer, there's a big amount of cash lying around, probably used for buying all of the things. Go to the attic and just look for enemies. Up there you can find the weapons manufacturing site, which just seems to be a bunch of 3D printers. 3D printed gun parts are definitely a thing, and this probably means that he receives the gun uppers from the car dealership and prints the lower and the auto sear. Interestingly, An also says that he puts the guns together and doesn't really manufacture them. So it must mean that the car parts from the dealership must be hiding gun parts in them, and their frequent visits there make it more suspicious. So we gotta check that dealership sometime, and thus we conclude our visit here. Grease Palms, a map that is a pain in the ass to play, but nonetheless interesting. Basically, 2 inspectors of the LSPD were heading to the Los Sueños Postal Service on a usual checkup due to some shady activity between the Los Locos and some workers at the Postal Service. When they got there, they got engaged in a firefight with one of the Los Locos, which resulted in an officer getting injured and the cartel member retreating into the postal office complex. So we gotta go in there, bring order to chaos, rescue all civilians, and arrest a few people of interest and locate the FISA office. Jack Adams, who is a FISA customs inspector, is our primary target. Let's just say he's a big fan of money and has been working with the Los Locos to obtain said money by letting a few things slide through the customs inspection. It's important to note that he must be kept alive at all costs, because if we don't, FISA will make sure we get fired. We also have 2 important civilian targets, Eugene Gomez and Maria Lopez. Eugene has been threatened by Jack if he rats him out, so he might be of value. Maria has been spotted talking to Jack a few times, so she must have some intel. Going in, we will see a trail of blood which was presumably left behind by the Los Locos cartel member who got shot by LSPD forces. Following that trail, you will end up in a big warehouse section. Be careful here. Throw 1 to 2 flashbangs and don't stay in one place, because the cover here is basically non-existent. Here you will potentially find Jack, so arrest him and go into his office. This office is pretty interesting, as there are packages all on the floor and shredded documents. In one of his file cabinets, you can also find a bunch of cash given by the Los Locos for, a little tomfoolery. There's also an X-ray machine where a gun can be seen in the package, which just confirms the corruption allegations. A whiteboard is also located in that exact room, which has some writing about the Tran family being in competition to his operation. There's also a big question mark on whether the LSPD was called on them, or if he should call the LSPD. In the same section of the building, there's a ceiling structure where some office space is located. Going up, bang it. At the back of this office space, there's a private office and a computer on which there is an email by Gomez, in which he expresses his worries about Adams, his suspicious activities with some packages, and his threats towards him. After that, head out to the conveyor section. Don't stay in one place. The cover is basically useless, so just speedrun this. Outside, be prepared for mid-range fighting and look out for weapons containers in the delivery cars. These are probably the ones that would have been shipped out to some customers of the Los Locos. And to end it, go to the other front building and clear it out. By the way, Maria Lopez could be anywhere, so just arrest her when you see her. She likes to run away and not comply. And so we close off this mission. Buy cheap, buy twice. So we had that car dealership placed under surveillance a while ago, and we knew a deal was going down, thanks to our undercover agents, whose cover got sadly blown. So we sent a few people for inspection, but this went south real fast. So we now have a active shootout. So now we gotta go into this car dealership, which we know are involved in some kind of weapon smuggling operation, and kind of fuck them up, aka neutralize them. Your objectives are bringing order to chaos, rescuing all civvies, and locating our agents. Going in from the parking spot, be aware of a lot of enemy presence, and try to get into the dealership as quickly as possible. Once inside, clear the complex and the offices. I usually do not go up to the second floor. The enemies could be bunched up in some spots, so flashbangs and automatic fire are recommended. After that, there are two side offices near the cars on display. In the left one, there's a computer which is deleting a file called Girls' IDs. Which sounds weird, and the shredded documents in the corner don't make it any less suspicious. But going into the second room to the right reveals a bunch of evidence. This room alone uncovers how big this operation really is. The ground is littered with stacks of mutilated paper and documents. These documents have names on them with various information on women and even customers. On the first desk, there's also a list of women who are being smuggled. Some are as young as 21, and they are from all over the world. On the second desk, there are some more contracts, and next to the desk is a whiteboard with a map of Port Hoken, which means that they are smuggling everything through there. The spider drawn on the whiteboard may be a sign of their own containers there, so this gives us a lead where to go next. Going into the mechanic, just be sure to clear it. In one of the rooms there are disassembled car parts and guns laying around. So this kind of confirms that the Trans were getting car parts with gun parts in them. And also in the disassembled car door, there are some unidentified narcotics. Just bag them and move on to the front room of the mechanic. There are two cars parked there. One of them has a case of money. It's probably the deal we were told about that would be going down. Just bag the suitcase and move on. Lastly, we can move to the upper office spaces, where we find the meeting room, and we also find our undercover friend. Not only his cover got blown, but also his head. And on the whiteboard behind him, there's their Port Hoken deal with provided details, and even the amount of cash they are going to make with this. So back this up, and let's end this horrific ordeal. Port Hoken. Now this is going to be hard. Port Hoken is a massive compound, and ships are moving in and out all the time. At least we have some intel on the time and date of the deal, so we're going in and doing this nice and quick, not necessarily clean. We also know that we are dealing with some kind of Russo-Mexican cartel mafia. It's probably the Los Locos and some other unknown mafia. As a few of the guys at the dealership were speaking Russian, and one of them even had visible prison tattoos. And remember, some of the workers could be cooperating. Our objectives are to bring order to chaos and rescue all civilians, And optionally, we should also confiscate any container that has a spider on it, as it could contain any of the mentioned wares on the whiteboard in the car dealership. It's also recommended to bring some NVGs and an IR laser for any engagement with some range. We arrive at the port next to the cargo ship that would have loaded the wares and sent them on their way. Put on your NVGs and let it rip. Just try to conserve ammo, as there are a lot of suspects at the containers and near the warehouse. Go and clean out the container loading space, and if you see a container with a spider, just check for anything like drugs or weapons. Before you go into the warehouse, clean out the little office space and the open area in front of the warehouse. Be careful, the suspects might come running out. And what if the container buildings near the warehouse is another marked container, and maybe we should check it out and open it.
Doc, we have a container full of women. We need temps down here right now.
Copy that. Entry team. EFTs and trailers are...
This is FISA. Stand down and shut that door, entry team. We're sending a unit to secure the container and its contents.
What? We're not leaving them like this.
Close the door!
After this whole fuckery, we finally arrive at the auction room that these sick fucks have been using to sell these innocent women and exploit them. And let me be honest, there is some seriously kinky stuff here, and the guy in the gimp suit doesn't make the atmosphere any better. So let's report this auction room, so we can end this once and for all. So, I hope you liked this video. Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see us on the next one. Luckily, I fixed my schedule slightly, so expect more videos in the future. Goodbye.